What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Daily Misfire. Today we're going to do one of the funnest things that you could possibly do in a car. We're changing the heater core by Nova. This is miserable. Let's get into it. So the very premise of this isn't that big of a deal, but to start, everything you do is basically under the dash, and there's a minimal amount of stuff to do on the outside, but there is things you need to do on the outside. So, start with, see all those little bolts? Yeah, there's a bunch of little bolts kind of around right there. All those guys need to come out because that is part of the heater core. Those are also obviously where the heater core lines come out, and they go into the engine around here. So, my engine is sitting right there. But what you would do is you would disconnect those guys off of the heater core, either there, or wherever you want to do that, wherever you feel fancy to do. And the next thing we need to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my glove box door off, and I'm going to take my glove box out. So that way I don't have to worry about getting that in the way of anything, because where we're going to be working is we're going to be taking this part out right here. We don't need to take the vent and stuff out on this side, I don't believe, but we do need to take this whole entire assembly off. You can see right there, we need to get that guy off. There's some screws and stuff we need to undo, but that guy right there is one of the heater control switches, and that's one of the cables that right around there. So we got to get that little guy off, and you can get a screwdriver, a pair of pliers. It's one of those little safety caps. You can see it right there. We just need to get one of those guys off. It's like a push-on thing. Pop that guy off, that cable comes off, and then we can get the rest of it. So I'm going to go grab a light. I'm going to take the glove box door off first, and then we're going to go from there. Alright, so we're back where we were before, just it has a new heater core. I plugged that guy in right there. That guy's plugged in. I need to tighten this guy, the actual bolt right there. I have ground's hooked back up. Everything's hooked back up the way it needs to be. The blower fan's wired back in with that orange wire. You can kind of see it in the background. Now I got to, now it's just got to get shoved back up in there. So I'm going to do that real quick. I have, because the engine's still out of the car, I have the transmission being held up with wire by one of the bolt holes up there. So I need to unbolt it real quick, and then just slide this pretty much in. But that's pretty much the only thing I have to do left, and then pretty much put all the bolts back in, put that guy back in, and hopefully it'll work and won't leak anymore. So we will basically have successfully swapped out heater cores. Like I said before, that aluminum one you could probably make work. I wasn't gonna try to make it fit and push it in and try to make things work. It sits in there, it's too wide, it's too tight to fit in there correctly to where I had the ability to actually get everything mounted up and stuff. So it wasn't going to work for me as far as, me having a screwed up thumb. You might have a trick to get it in and save that $50, but to me, I know the brass one will work, or copper, whatever you want to call those. I know that it'll work. It was $104 from Summit. They're anywhere from $100 to $130, depending on where you find them. But yeah, it's always something, it seems to be. But so I'm going to take that one back, and basically I spend I spend $104 instead of $50, but whatever. Oh, I need to get heater hose. That's the other thing I need to get. But with that being said, it's pretty straightforward once you get it figured out and how you need to try to get everything up and in and pushed in. It's just those little lead things, those little mounting tab things are stupid. And also, those mounting tabs are like $50, so make sure you don't break those. I noticed that when I was ordering the new heater core when I was on Summit, it was like $54 or $45, something like that. Way more expensive than they should be, that's for sure. So make sure you don't break those. Yeah, I'm gonna get this guy back in. Alright, so like I said, I got those two screws out and I kind of pulled on it and just kind of pulled it down. And the whole heater core box did drop the way it needs to. The only thing you need to kind of look out for is there's now the other heater controls. You can see the one right up there, right where my light is. You can see that guy, and we also got to try to get off the actual vent right there. So I'll get that guy off next, and then there's going to be some wiring that we got to get off, like the ground and stuff. It's going to be kind of around there. But I think it's all plugs, if I remember right. I did this once, like, you know, or my dad did this once, like 10 years ago at this point. And unfortunately, this one's leaking. So let's see how bad this one is once we get it out. Alright, so I got those. It turns out there's 3 bolts on the outside that you need to get, it looks like. I think these guys are also the little plastic or rubber keepers. They're also kind of part of it. Now let's go back inside. I didn't take the glove box all the way out. I got the door and stuff off. But I didn't take the glove box out just because mine's the original one, and I don't really want to mess with it because it's kind of getting a little flimsy. So I'm not going to risk that and destroy my glove box. I can probably do it without getting it out. So grab a flashlight real quick. Now, let's see what we're looking at. So there's that little screw right there that holds, I don't know how bright that is. You can see that one right there. That one is what holds the vent to the actual heater core. There's a couple up there you can see. That guy right there, that also holds that vent together. There's that screw right there. We don't need to take that one on the top off. We do need to take that one off because that holds it to that vent. But I think once we get that one right there and that one, it should be able to come out. I'm thinking, I'm hoping. We're going to pray that that comes out. Let's try it. There's also plugs like that guy right there, that orange one. There's some wires like that that we need to get out too. But yeah, we'll get there when we get there. First, that guy and that guy. Alright, so all that really needed to happen then was I got that guy off right there, which was the cable that holds to this rod right here, which is probably the temperature rod. One of these is the, basically one of them is basically one's going to be your temperature on off, you know, as a defroster or like hot or cold, which in the non-AC cars basically just means, you know, if the heater's on or off, it's the fan or not just blowing. So now I think it's pretty much ready to come out. Everything's pretty much undone. It looks like there's one more thing holding it in the back side to get it actually out. So I'm going to kind of pull it out a little bit further, and I think there might be something back there holding it. So I'm going to make sure I get that guy, and then the whole heater core can come out, and then we can get all those out. Now, saying that, if you want to be lazy, you could probably get it out where it is right here. But I just put new carpet in my car, and I don't want to necessarily get it completely dirty. So, and all of this is disgusting. So, yeah, I'm going to take it out. Alright, so just for everyone else's information, the last little thing that I had to get off, on the back side right here, there's a screw on both sides of here. So, see how so once it kind of slides down like mine did, you have to make sure you go around and get that other screw. Mine was just a Phillips, which means it was probably one of those little stunt screws before. So just make sure you have the same, it's probably giving you the exact same bolt that you had on the other side or nut. So with that being said, it's time to get all these little guys out. And hopefully this will just pop off. And we can swap these two guys over. And we should be good to put it back in. Oh boy. Yeah. So make sure there are screws all the way around here on this side. There are some on the back side. There's one guy right there, as you can see. And there's also 3 on the bottom. So make sure you get all of the screws when you pull this thing apart. And theoretically, it should just kind of peel like an onion like this. And allow you to kind of weasel that thing out of there. There might be one more screw that I'm missing right in there. Kind of has that look about it. But yeah, make sure you get all of them. So I think there's one more probably on this inside part. Yeah, there is one. Right in there. The next thing you gotta do is take these 2 screws out, and it removes this little cover right here. And now you have complete and utter access to the heater core, which in my case, you can tell, has blown up somewhere. So let me peel this guy out real quick and let's see where the damage is. Alright, well there's nothing tank-wise on the top or the bottom that's really junk, but so that probably leads it to being one of the main veins in the radiator, as you would put it in the heater core. So you can kind of see how wet everything is, so that's awesome. And you can tell it's been not like that for a minute, and I didn't know. So always keep an eye on your heater cores. That's a very good thing to check on. So now we're going to do everything I just did in reverse. I'm going to clean this up real quick and get all that antifreeze out of there, because it absolutely should not be like that. I have an aluminum heater core this time. The brass one, first off, O'Reilly's doesn't carry the brass one anymore, or whatever that is. And secondly, when I do find the brass one, they're like 150 bucks. This one's 50. So this one may end up, not lasting as long, but I need one because we are going on a road trip. If you haven't watched the channel, we're going on a drag and drive called Six Smokies, and it's going to be a 1,500-mile drive in October, and I'd like to have a heater. So, yeah, I'm going to get that guy cleaned up, put that guy in there, and get it back to rock and rolling. So, I may end up using those little retainer clips. Those might be the move to kind of keep it in place. I don't know. We'll see. Alright, so two things. One, I went back to a copper, brass, whatever you want to call it, heater core. Do not buy the aluminum one. The aluminum one's junk. Spend the extra $50. And then secondly, in order to get it in, so the main box mounts up to the bottom box, and what you have to do, or what I did, was you bolt that middle piece that holds the heater core itself to everything. You bolt it to that part down there. You can see those two bolts, that guy and that guy. And then I'm holding it up physically because these two aren't connected to the actual bottom box. So then you drop that guy down once they're bolted in, and then you can slide in where it needs to. Then the set screw right here is what holds that part on the back side, and then you get all the rest in. So terrible, terrible design, but it's what you have to do. So, or at least what I did. Back together. And it is back in. Everything's bolted in the way it needs to be. I don't have any way of testing it right now. However, those all move fine like they should. So that's a victory. And you got your two lines coming out. Everything's bolted on this side. It all looks good. It'll be ready to go when that guy's in. So this helped if you're trying to do that in your car. You need a little bit of help or need a little bit of guidance. Hopefully it's helped you. And if you just want to watch along and as we rebuild this guy in that car, be sure to follow. I'll see you guys later.